Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Regina Yockey, who's the administrator for Avenues Home Care. We've been talking about home care, but we're going to talk about the sinners and the saints. Do you know that song?
I do.
Oh, really?
I couldn't play it.
Right. It's a good song. Do you like traditional church music?
I've had a mix of it. I've gone to some churches that are very pop music, and what I think they call them the mega churches, where it's almost like a concert in itself. And then I was raised in the Lutheran Missouri Synod, and so it's very traditional.
Okay.
Very traditional.
That's the church I go to, so that's why I picked that song.
There you go.
Because Martin Luther said we're all sinners and saints. We're born sinners because of what Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden, but we're saints because we've been forgiven and absolved. So I like to bring in somebody that's done something bad that I read about in the news, that's the sinner, and then I like to talk about somebody that's doing something good. And this week I read about a guy named Dusty Ray Spencer. He was convicted in 1992 of murdering his wife. He's been on death row for all this time, and on June 25th, he's scheduled for the death penalty in Florida. What's unique about him is he's 74 years old, and so that would make him the oldest person in Florida state history to be executed. And so my question for you is, do you think that the government should have mercy on him just because of his age?
Personally, I would say no. I mean, if he made the choice to take a life, to me, I think he lost his choice. So no, I don't think having a resolve just because of his age kind of just checks marks. Nope, everything's fine.
Right.
Nothing happened. You didn't do anything bad. No, I don't feel like that would be the right answer.
Well, in the Bible, the Ten Commandments, one of them is thou shalt not murder. And he broke that commandment. And in Deuteronomy 19:21, God's law said, your eye shall not pity. It shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. And so that's about proportional justice, what you were just saying. He took a life, so the government can take his. And in Romans 13, verses 3 and 4, just in case some people think, well, maybe the New Testament changed that. Well, Paul wrote, for rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. So I think that your perspective is biblical. Okay, let's go back. Oh, no, I want to talk about the saints. So is there anyone you know or work with that really cares about older people and provides great care with love? And the reason I ask this is because my granddad lived to be 94 years old, I think. And he passed away during COVID because he gave up. Nobody could visit him. And they would go to the window. I'm turned away from the mic there for a second because I was looking out the window.
He's got us on the 12th floor, so he's definitely looking out the window.
Yeah. So my dad and my uncle, they could visit him and they could look at him through the window and talk to him on the phone, but my granddad couldn't hear. And so he said, forget it. I'm just going to not eat. I'm ready to go home with the Lord.
There was a lot of depression during that time because of the access for family.
And so I would talk to the nursing home staff prior to that when I would visit him, and I would say, take care of my granddad. I really wanted them to follow through with that.
Right.
And so that's why I want to give you the opportunity to talk about some people that you know that would really fulfill that promise.
Well, and just on a side note, we did find that we had a lot of people that were in facilities like that, and they did come back home and chose home care, because then that gave them that family access, that one-on-one care that they were needing and they weren't being able to have during that time. So thankfully we're way past that, don't have that anymore. But, that shows you care and compassion. It really makes a difference for our seniors when they need it. But for saints, oh my goodness, the list could go on for miles. I think just recently it was brought up to me. We had somebody come in and visit, and they had to do what we call a home visit. And during that home visit, they met one of our caregivers. And I have a client, he's currently kind of closer to end of life. And so those needs are pretty intense, and he's not really wanting to eat. He's kind of in that verge of, do I eat? Do I continue? Where's my quality of life? And all of a sudden, the caregiver started singing. And as soon as she started singing, he wanted to eat. And that's what they have to do every time he needs to eat so that, he stays strong, is that my caregiver took that time. But to know that that's what would make a difference, each caregiver gets to know their clients so well, so personally, to find out those little things. I had another caregiver that had a client. She was homeless, actually, and her family brought her in, but it's not in, unfortunately, the best circumstances. And so she was living in the garage. I don't know how that all worked out, but it was where we had to care for her, just because that's where she was at. It didn't mean, we could have not do it. We were caring for her. And my caregiver was very concerned, actually went and bought clothes for her and brought donations into her to make sure she was happy and she was well taken care of. I have another caregiver that she only works on Sundays because she has one client that wants to go to church. Every Sunday she shows up and she takes him to church, and that's his passion, his love. Each caregiver seems to find what is the need that the client has that really fulfills their love in their life and makes them content. And I think that's what's important in the home care situation, is that it's one-on-one. When you go into a community, go into a facility, it's one CNA that's caring for maybe 22 people.
Wow.
Yeah, the numbers are a little staggering. But when you get one-on-one care, you know what matters. It's what food do they like. One of my gentlemen, he was a chef, and he actually really kind of almost taught my caregivers how to cook. But that was his passion. He had a garden. The two of them would go outside and they would garden together.
Oh, that's great.
So it's finding the passion of what our clients are. That's what our caregivers do. So when I say I have a list of saints, I think just being a caregiver in general is being a saint. It's a hard job that it's not enough thankfulness for. I don't think people think of them and how hard being a caregiver is.
Well, the industry statistics tell us that 59% of home care companies are reporting operating with insufficient staff. So how do you find enough caregivers, and how do you find these saints? Because in California, they were having a problem with the number one job for felons was caregiver.
Oh. Wow. Well, we have to do background checks on all of our caregivers. So we have requirements that, they have to follow. They have to have a certain level of training to be able to be a caregiver with us. And, there are plenty of caregivers out there. Finding the right caregivers, finding the compassionate caregivers, the fully trained caregivers, that's what we strive to do. Avenues is really our mission, is to make sure that our caregivers in the home are the right fit. I even tell our clients, I've got more caregivers. So if you don't like this one, that's okay. You want to feel comfortable. You almost want to feel like they're a part of your family to that extent. So the shortage for us, we're lucky in one fact, factor is that we bring on clients. So if we don't have enough caregivers, which we have about 200 to 300 caregivers on average, we can start most cases within about 4 hours if we're in a crisis situation. If we have time to handpick everybody, then, after a few days, we can get a client started then too. So we're very flexible because we do have plenty of caregivers to choose from. And we can choose between the kind that are what we call companionship. Love to go. I had a companionship situation where she went to a tennis tournament. The son flew in from New York. He had a tennis tournament. Dad was in his 90s. But he didn't want it to look like Dad had a caregiver. It was like more of a companion. But she went, she took care of him while his son was playing tennis, and he was able to be involved and engaged on it.
So the caregiver was about his age?
No, she was younger.
Oh, okay.
But it would almost feel like maybe like the daughter was there with him.
Okay.
But it was just that it allowed him to go. It allowed him to not be stuck at home and not being able to be involved in his son's life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we got to take another break. When we come back, we'll be talking about legacy. This is Regina Yockey, administrator for Avenues Home Care. If somebody's interested in having a caregiver or has questions that you might be able to answer, how should they contact you?
So the best way to contact me, you can always contact me directly. My direct number is 830-832-0089. That's Avenues Home Care. You can always stop by one of our offices here in San Antonio, and you can reach out there as well to 210-236-5582.
Okay, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Most families don't realize they have hidden legal blind spots until it's too late. Wills, trusts, Medicaid planning, even protecting a business. These are the kinds of issues attorney Todd Marquardt helps uncover before they become problems. Todd is the host of Talk Law Radio, where each week he guides listeners through the legal challenges families, veterans, and business owners face, while showing them the practical steps to protect what matters most. Catch Talk Law Radio, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on 9:30 a.m. The Answer, 6:30 a.m. The Word, and now in Houston on AM 1070 and 103.3 FM The Answer, or anytime on YouTube. Planning isn't just about documents. It's about peace of mind, security for loved ones, and building a legacy that lasts. Don't wait for a crisis. Do it before you die.